I give the floor to the distinguished permanent representative of Sri Lanka.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for giving me the floor. Chair, it is said that governments can easily exist without laws, but the law cannot exist without government. It is confidence in the men and women who administer the judicial system that is the true backbone of the rule of law. It is incumbent, therefore, on all states that seek to establish and entrench the rule of law to develop, sustain, and nourish the human resources vital to the sustenance of the rule of law. We stress that the laws are only as effective as how they are implemented. Additionally, implementation is only as good as the fairness it is based on. Sri Lanka therefore reiterates its call for systems to ensure a fair and just application of laws and principles agreed upon by member states of the United Nations, including the principles enshrined in the Charter of the United Nations. Madam, multilateral treaty bodies have grown in numbers dramatically over the times. While this has contributed to advance international law, it has also heightened the need for states to enhance their capacities. The requirement for inclusivity and transparency has been made more apparent by the quick digital communication that is now a hallmark of multilateral diplomacy. Any multilateral treaty body must have these two components in order to evolve successfully and ultimately to operate effectively. The need for system-wide coherence and coordination, as well as avoiding task duplication based on overlapping mandates, as we see, has increased. The General Assembly, Madam Chair, is entrusted with the crucial responsibility of promoting the steady advancement of international law and its codification under Article 13 of the United Nations Charter. The United Nations has been successful in significantly strengthening the rule of law on a global scale through multilateral treaty processes that have been developed over the years. Madam Chair, the expression rule of law is one that is constantly on the lips of people. The Chairman, Madam Chair, I'm not quite sure what it means in the context of contemporary happenings. I'm not sure that all those who use the expression knew what it means either. In fact, academics express the view whether the rule of law was simply rhetoric or was it a concept that was given serious consideration. There is a growing concern about the entire relationship between the rule of law and human rights and civil liberties on the one hand, and security against terrorist attacks on the other. It is therefore worthy of our consideration. We need to do some serious soul searching. It has been said that it is better for the law to rule than one of the citizens, and continues so. Even the guardians of the law must obey the law. It was Tennyson, the poet, Madam Chair, who said these few lines: "A land of settled government, a land of just and old renown, where freedom slowly broadens down from precedent to precedent." But is that what we see? What we see, however, is the naked violation of the basic tenets of equity and fairness, where might is right. Madam Chair, lip service is paid in generous doses without pausing for a moment to think about the depth of these simple but complex words. It is, you will agree, an expression that has been subject to the severest of critique. Some say that it is vague, and others say that it is impossible to live by as an ideal which threatens the fair distribution of wealth and power, an ideal that introduces a pathology of legalism between government and the governed, and as one academic puts it, an ideal that enables the shrewd, calculating and wealthy, powerful to manipulate its form to its own advantage. However, the rule of law is not just another phrase, but has gained a settled meaning, Madam Chair, although it may not have gained a perfect definition. We could see it is a workable, practical objective which can be achieved. It must be therefore appreciated that the rule of law is not the exclusive domain of one part of the world, but has of a universal application, which has gained much currency in contrast to other high-flown concepts such as human rights or democracy. It must therefore be appreciated that any form of discretionary, arbitrary power was incompatible with the rule of law. I won't be wrong to say that arbitrariness or unbridled use of power as we see today would be anathema to the rule of law. Academics have asked the question whether the rule of law is part of a new imperialism that is entertained by countries with different traditions and cultures at their whims and fancies. We must, however, reconcile ourselves to the thought that the rule of law is not a theory of state, but a simple practical guide to bear essentially on how power should be exercised globally, that it is not the monopoly of the developed world, but a fundamental need to recognize the dignity of humankind, that it must be recognized against other values such as the right of life, right to life, the right to a secure existence, and therefore could not be compromised at the whims and fancies of the powerful. To digress from this principle finally, the careless and reckless use, I say, of the rule of law will surely lead to a bizarre situation, to a reign of tyranny. To digress from this principle, Madam Chair, may I leave you with the thought that it is a worthy objective that we should sustain and inextricably embrace that indispensable principle of good governance and establish a world in which humankind can live in peace and in dignity. Thank you.
Thank you for the statement.